I'm going to be going live on DNA in this space today. I started to talk about this subject the other day on my video, and a lot of people came to me after and were asking me questions. So I want to talk a little bit about the codes that kind of make up who you are. Give me a moment. I'm going to find the video and give it a sec so some people can find us. But I'm going to do this video right now on DNA, and then I'm going to get off of here and do a normal card feed on my healing channel. So I'll give it a second. Alright, DNA. I like to think of it as the building blocks of who we are. I always tell people that I did a lot of school kind of going through this matrix, and when I was in college, even though I was in a lot of advanced science classes, they would talk about DNA as really basic. This is where your eye color, your hair color, and genetics come from. But they really had a limited understanding of it. It's coined that 99% of your DNA is garbage, and I want to kind of get into that other 99% and what that DNA kind of carries and codes. Alright, so I like to think that everyone kind of comes here with a certain blueprint, and we can tell that we kind of take on our parents' soul lessons as well, that we kind of continue their story. You can kind of look down these kind of family lines and see how each generation is really just continuing these lessons and stories until someone kind of completes them as well. Well, we get a lot more from our parents than just their eye color and hair color and things like that as well. We also adopt a lot of their subconscious kind of programs as well as their DNA, so we kind of get a lot of our genetics from our parents. Now the thing is that our blueprint is always meant to be always changing, right? And I'm going to kind of get into kind of a lot of things on this topic, so kind of bear with me. But we can see that. We can see that that's always true with people getting sick around here, that we see a lot of illness kind of carrying on. And that means that your DNA has become damaged in some way, or you wouldn't be getting sick. And I want to talk about that category of what is damaging people's DNA and why now is it so important that we are kind of switching back on these past genetics, we'll say. All right, and it's been a while since I've been live, so bear with me, right? It's been a minute since I've been live, too, so you'll have to bear with me. It is retrograde, and I always kind of feel a pull to go within whenever we hit these weird energies. I'm kind of feeling that shift the past few days that we're making into Pisces, too, but that will be my next conversation. Alright, so we have this blueprint. Like I said, you get more than your eye color from your family. We have lots of things going down these, we'll say down our blueprints too. Things like poverty consciousness, and that's the real reason I want to get into this, because I'm going to be doing abundance codes later in the week in this class, and these are kind of coming from your DNA. So I kind of want to talk about these things that have been affecting people. So when I like to say, I said this in my last video, that if you go to the doctor, they'll ask you for like a general kind of questionnaire usually. And they want to know pretty much every illness you've ever had, as well as any family history of any type of medical conditions. And I find that really fascinating now with the things I know about DNA, because we're kind of agreeing to continue to create on these patterns until we kind of change our programming and DNA template. So a lot of those things, they seem like, oh, it must be genetic, right? It must be, I've been predisposed to these things. I think there's a danger in all of the DNA testing that they're doing for cancer and illnesses. Like they're literally testing people for cancer. The probability they could get cancer and removing breasts and organs and things like that. And I think that's really scary stuff, because we have a lot more control over our reality than we've been led to believe. You know, the biggest influencer over our body and our DNA is our thoughts, I swear. Yeah, negativity, you know, it's one thing when it's coming from outside of us. It's another when it's coming from ourselves. Like even just, you know, having reoccurring negative thinking patterns about yourself, whether it's like low self-esteem, not having your own back, not being supportive, that's what breaks down our body, ultimately making people sick. So we have a lot of things that influence our genetics as well as our DNA. I like to think we're always evolving every single day. Hopefully you're a different person than you were kind of going through this than the day before. So we're always meant to be evolving. This has never been more important, though, with our DNA. We see that we're at a K5 index space storm right now, and I like to ask people, I would love to kind of have some conversation with some of these scientists and ask them, where do you think this is all going to kind of lead us to? Do you think that this is safe? All of the radiation people are being exposed to. Do you not think people should be taking some types of health precautions or changing what they're doing to adapt to these new energies? Fascinating concepts to me as we're going through these crazy space storms. I think we're getting moved through space personally, and that this is space travel. Like, swear, right? We can talk about that we're definitely getting moved. We're definitely receiving an influx of energies that are really affecting our bodies. So I like to think, how did we come to believe that 99% of our DNA is garbage? All right, you see how the planet's acting now. Could you imagine how people would act if they had superpowers activated during this time? Let me just throw that out there. So those other 99 strands would give people kind of superhuman abilities. It would give people basically superpower abilities. And you see what's happening on the planet already. We lived during past experiences where there was a lot of magic being used. Yeah, like literal wars of wizards and witches and stuff not being used in a nice way. And I always describe this as kind of a timeout, that nothing is going to happen here unless it's pre-planned out either. So as these energies are coming in, though, there's never been a greater need to reactivate these dormant strands of DNA so that our physical body can handle this ascension journey as well. So we're kind of getting back to this activation process as these energies are coming in as well. All right, humanity kind of feels a disconnect when they're running on 2 strands of DNA. You're probably going to be feeling not fulfilled in life when you are cut off completely spiritually, because we are spiritual beings. So it's very important that we're remembering that as well. I think that there's been a lot of manipulation that occurred on this planet when maybe people weren't as evolved. And right, and I see the purpose and the place of it, because I understand that people kind of have to learn. I was explaining this about our school systems, where, you know, some of these kids do need to learn how to go and read, and they do need these educations and things like that, and people kind of had to begin to crawl before they can walk. So I kind of get the bigger purpose in all of this. But we're seeing that there has been very real genetic manipulation. I believe that there's a lot on this planet genetically that we're not even aware of as well. But we can kind of talk about the things that are negative for our DNA that have shut us down to 2 strands of DNA. Healthcare, the worst thing ever for my body was pharmaceuticals. I always tell that story. So true that I almost died going through this matrix, and I know I'm not alone in that. I know a lot of other people that had real crazy experiences here that kind of pushed them back into that role as, you know, healing themselves and becoming a healer once again. So pharmaceuticals, prescriptions, all very bad. I talk about medications as something that suppresses symptoms. That's the worst thing you can do with your body, because it will get louder and louder till you listen. So any type of pill that's being dispensed, you notice they're not healing people, or you wouldn't have to stay on the tablet the rest of your life. Or if you come off the tablet, it gets really bad. So they're just suppressing the symptoms, and eventually what happens is things get out of control. Right? We're not listening to our body. We're continuing to do the same things. And healthcare is such a scam, because people really believe there is a magic pill to literally fix years of trauma and, you know, kind of PTSD kind of things going on this planet. All right, other things that are bad for our DNA, traumas. I know that this whole planet has some type of PTSD after just going through this experience, where, yes, you can see it with the anxiety, the depression, some of the symptoms people feel, social anxiety, things like that. And, you know, especially as people are waking and going through this experience, we're noticing a lot of people are hypersensitive at a certain point in time, whether it's to other people or the energies or their situations, all signs that we kind of went through a lot of trauma. That's nothing compared to what our ancestors have been through. And these are the things that have been passed down to you. So sometimes we have these things surfacing on unconscious levels, especially right now, as these energies are purifying us and releasing a lot of things. Some of these things may not even be our own. I see something we're going to get into next video is I want to talk about abundance and, you know, the codes in our DNA that allow us to receive this abundance. And so we see a lot of these things are literally being passed down, even poverty mindset, where you might have had relatives that lived in extreme poverty during different times and would have had like a lot of fear or trauma. We see it that there were in past times a lot of real traumas as well, right? A lot of people don't like the government now because that's going down their bloodlines as well. That's in their DNA as well, right? Programming where maybe your ancestors had bad experiences living in these same places, and there was that kind of code being passed down. Scientists spend a lot of time trying to be able to manipulate these codes. They're always really into, I always talk about cloning, right? Cloning, making weird hybrid animals, things that are all very Atlantean, as well as shutting down people's DNA, because this was something that was happening then. And I like to think that America is Atlantis as a do-over, that most of the souls that live in America, and this is another conversation, would have had past experiences or incarnations in Atlantis, and their present day is a chance to do it over and choose another path. So we especially see a lot of these kind of science things that used to happen back in Atlantis that are still occurring now. Present day America, a lot of this stuff. You see a lot of the chemical warfare when it comes to our food, and I'm gonna have to go there. I shouldn't, but I'm gonna go there about the GMO foods. All right, we'll talk about Vietnam. I don't know a lot about this war. I don't know a lot about this war, but America was in the Vietnam War, and they used Agent Orange, which was a chemical compound to spray pretty much the entire country, exposing, we'll say, many veterans in the process to these toxic chemicals. They got a lot of cancer from it too, and really bad stuff. Like that land over there is probably never going to be okay. It was basically like, chemical warfare, and they won the war in a very dirty way. And it was so successful in poisoning those people that they thought, why not do this on our own country over here in America to control these people too? And you know who made those chemicals for Vietnam War? Monsanto. They were the company that made that cocktail to kill those people, and they are now making our food. And does that kind of click with people? Like, does that make sense, right? We're paying these people that were part of a government chemical warfare, we'll say, project over in Vietnam to now make our food. They have bought, they will say many corporations have bought out many of the farms, we'll say mainly in America, but other countries too, and have put out these kind of corporate institutions that are really, really bad for people. And the government is the one who's setting the criteria. That's why I always kind of come down on them the most too. A lot of people are noticing there's a lot happening politically with this awakening too. Right? We'll just say a lot happening politically with this awakening too, because the government are the people who say they are regulating these things. And meanwhile, they've been suppressing cures to, things that would really help the planet, whether it is technology or medications to help people, right? They've already had many cures for cancer and things like that, and have really been the bad guys in suppressing this stuff that could be really helping humanity, because there is such a cost to be made on everyone sick. And, during this time, I don't know what happened on this planet. We'll say it goes in alignment with their global warming kind of thing. They decided there's too many people living on this planet, and to depopulate the planet would be easier than to stop trashing the planet, I always say, right? And to clean things up around here. And so we see a lot of this has been really implemented since 2012, where there's been a lot more garbage put in our food, we'll say. Right? Garbage put in our food, an attempt to stop this awakening. We see like record levels of fluoride being put in water. Fluoride is probably like the worst thing for you. I know there's some really good documentaries you guys can probably watch on YouTube as to where this stuff really comes from, what it really does to your third eye. It pretty much shuts down the frontal lobe. I was watching a really cool show the other night about if you have your frontal lobe shut down, as in your third eye, you're probably a psychopath, right? I saw it, right? I was watching brain scans, don't ask, right? So, that this is our connection with the universe, with God, with Source. So when people kind of are really shut down in these areas, really bad for our body and our DNA. So we know that food and chemicals really can have a powerful effect on being negative for the body or positive. We could always choose to eat more, I tell people, fruits and vegetables and kind of better foods, and that will also help repair our DNA. So you see that there's a huge kind of war on our food, healthcare, right? Things with the government, and kind of in these areas that are not really good for the human body. So there's been a real attempt to keep everyone dumbed down for so long. I believe what is happening is that the frequencies are going up though, and it doesn't matter how much garbage people have been tied down with, that there is this awakening occurring, and people are kind of shaking past all this bad stuff, magic, right? Negativity that is just kind of keep people kind of complacent. All right, so DNA. Usually we have to become aware of it that we have a problem in order to fix it though, right? So we have millions or billions of people, we can say billions, millions of people at least living on this planet very unconsciously, just going through the motions of their job and everyday life and paying the bills, and that's pretty much it with their life, never questioning outside of anything outside of this existence or this experience. So it's very hard for people to, right, to unenslave themselves when they don't realize they're even being enslaved. That's how massive these structures and systems are that are in place to keep everyone asleep. Other things that are bad for your DNA. Television. Yes, we'll go there. Television. Your brain cannot perceive the difference between something you're watching on television that isn't real and something that is really happening to you. This can really confuse our brain on many levels as to, is this an experience we're having or is it fake? Because we can't tell the difference. So if we're watching a lot of negative things, your body has just literally gone through that experience in terms of chemical reaction and what is occurring, right? You ever watch a sad movie, you get really sad, right? And things like that. So it's really important that we're being mindful of what we're putting in our consciousness. Yeah, garbage programming is going to probably confuse us. We already have a lot of thoughts. Our job is to kind of get past all of this stuff. Let me see. So we can say that we've had a lot of stuff coming through our DNA for a long time. I don't know about your family, but I didn't have any healers that I know of, right? Growing up, we'll say. I did not have any other healers in my family. So a lot of times the healer that comes through these family lines gets the harder job, and that is you guys. So a lot of times if there was any like suppressed traumas, abuse, any type of kind of negative programs, anything not serving your family lines, it would come out with you. Yeah, that's why we see a lot of people going through a lot of illnesses that are healers, I think, too. That whether it's mental health kind of stuff, or it's like physical kind of stuff too, lessons, any kind of garbage, and that isn't your extra strands, any kind of garbage, like traumas turned on, right, we'll say, just any kind of negative programs running, we're gonna probably be the ones to transcend them this life. So we probably got stuck with them. So you could even have like other siblings in the same family and they're going and doing the American dream and their life looks a lot different, and you have the healer kind of come through these families and they're bringing all the garbage out. Yeah, hidden abuse, traumas, alcoholism, drugs, you name it, that's been going down these bloodlines, violence, anger, right, depression, any kind of imbalances, it's gonna come to the extreme with us. We're the ultimate mirror as well for people around us. So people are going to get a different experience viewing or being around us depending on where they're at with our lessons as well. Welcome to being an empath, right? So we're kind of bringing out these things as well. Welcome to healing. Healing isn't always love and light. It was harder lessons, more traumas, things to transmute, more understanding. All right, so negativity. If you're in a bad relationship, if you are in a toxic relationship, we see that a lot right now. I believe that there are very real dark programs, though, that have been messing with humanity for a long time. And I'm going to get into a genetic, real conversation about, like, the DNA and aliens and that kind of stuff in mystery school this week as well. So it kind of goes hand in hand. We'll talk about that later, right? So if you wonder why a lot of people have had crazy relationship experiences, also, we know our parents didn't have the best relationships either because they were on a 3D template. And we're kind of higher dimensional souls that are expecting different things when it comes to love that may have satisfied our parents or other people living in the third dimension. We're looking for something a little deeper, generally. So, bad relationships. It doesn't matter, like, if you're being control dramaed at work, right? A lot of people at your job will be on a power trip. Yeah, I swear. It's like the manager of 7-Eleven. It's the manager of, like, the worst job ever that will be giving people attitude and, like, on a power trip. We know that, yeah. All right, so things that are toxic for you, whether it's a negative job situation, yes, people get stressed at their jobs like you would not believe, pushed, overworked, right? Situations like that can be really bad for you too. Anything stressing you out. Toxic relationships. It's very important we're feeling safe and secure where we live. I know a lot of people that walk around on eggshells. If you have had experiences like this, make sure it's not your past traumas surfacing with other partners or things like that you're being pushed to heal. as well. Really, you need to discern these things. I tell people, right, there's like this very real feeling that people want to just get out of these lessons during this time, but every soul has a journey, and the lessons you've had, you need. Yeah, I swear, we have to master the lesson to get rid of it, right? So we've been clearing a lot of karma as well. So you guys have drawn more karmic experiences this life than ever, I swear, whether it's partners, pushing you to look deeper for love. It could just be like family members that are my favorite toxic example, right? Family members, generally they're a karmic experience that you came to clear at a young age. So let's hope that, you're not getting those lessons you got when you were 5 now, you'll notice, right? You'd be cruising through them. So, right, those were your lessons a long time ago. Just kind of release these things. But a lot of people stay in unhealthy relationships, not understanding that if someone else is thinking negatively about you, there's a telepathic exchange of energy. Like, I'm really psychically sensitive, and we'll just put it out there. I went through a breakup, and I had people thinking negatively about me, and trust me, I get every telepathic message you want to send me, and I'm very psychically sensitive. So if we're thinking negatively about ourselves or other people are, very stressful for the body. I mean, you can look at real scientific studies that show if someone's sending you love and light, it will have a very positive effect on the body. If someone is thinking about you negatively or seeing you negatively, it probably is going to have a negative effect on you too. So it's important that we're getting rid of toxic people. There's a ton of people learning here. You are not responsible for other people's healing, ever. Literally, you're walking through a weird funhouse mirror kind of place on your journey, right? Just look at your path like a weird reflection of mirrors. Like if you're in one of those fun houses, I've never seen one in real life, but it's how I picture the Matrix, and everything isn't what it seems. It's always pointing you back to yourself. So as an empath, we're always the ultimate fixers, and we want to help people. We know we can heal anything. Anyone can heal. Yes, these are deep truths. But people have to be at a place where they want to heal. So make sure you are getting rid of the negativity. And it will happen naturally. I like to think if you keep working on your energy, people will get rid of you. And you probably won't even notice. So, negativity, bad for your DNA. We see a lot of that being brought out through our media. I think the cabal don't have as much of a reach as, we'll say the cabal, the bad guys. I think that the cabal, or we'll say global elite, have less of a reach over humanity than we've been led to believe. But we have, this television programming where I could probably go turn on some news on television, but it would not be a good representative of my reality. So I believe that the reach goes as far as to control all of the media. Yes, Hollywood, the media, what is being shown to you guys, if you go see like a magazine or a newspaper, or what is being presented, like this is the world we live in, right? And it's always just trying to reinforce how you see the world. And it really just wants us to kind of think that we're living in this one kind of messed up world, and this is the way everyone works. And they've also sold you on a dream that if you had more money, you'd be happy. Yes, I know, right? We have, I keep saying it, celebrities everywhere showing you, if you had my life, you'd probably find that happiness that you're searching for. And that's pretty dangerous too, literally, because if you're not happy now, you wouldn't be happy with any more money, I assure you. All right, so things that are bad for us. Our parents' programming. Yes, parents' programming. You do not want to be like your parents. This was just simply a past life reminder that you're on a different path. These are souls, I always say, we're passing each other after a lot of time as well. So it simply is to serve as a reminder. So the people around you sometimes are a reminder that you don't want to be like this. Sometimes the deeper shadow work will involve you kind of looking at those qualities and seeing how they really are something deeper within as well. So we go through that. Stress, drugs, any type of pharmaceuticals. I was talking about alcohol as it opens up kind of a gateway. Yeah, portholes. I'm learning about them too. As I'm getting ready to go back to a Stargate with my boyfriend next month, and we're learning about portholes too, to say the least, and these Stargates, and they're powerful. Now, I'm looking at some drugs just from my own experiences and alcohol as they open very real portholes to things we might not even understand yet, right? Or be able to control that good. So, we have a lot of people living unconsciously, and Friday night they're going to go out drinking, go drink a lot of alcohol, maybe do some recreational drugs, and you never know where this stuff will lead you. So it really is kind of opening negative portholes, getting more toxins in our body. All right, our body is not equipped to deal with all of these toxins. I like to believe that the body was made when things were very pure on this planet. The original kind of body types, things used to be a lot purer at one point in time, we'll just say. There wasn't all the, we'll say, agenda around us. So, our bodies are not even equipped to be dealing with these toxins. We are surrounded in toxins every day, whether it's your household cleaners, your shampoo, perfume, laundry detergent. We can go on and on and on. Your toothpaste, right? Things like that. So we want to limit the toxins as well. Toxins will break down our DNA. Right, just like stress and other things will, and it's really not good. And I'm going to get into these other strands, what they do too. So we're kind of talking about eliminating the garbage. So fluoride, bad for your third eye, bad for your DNA, bad for your entire reality, right? No fluoride, get rid of it in your toothpaste. A lot of people don't realize that. Probably the worst thing ever. Sulfate, I don't know a lot about it. In your shampoo, it's to kill you too. I use sulfate-free shampoo. I've been told it's like fluoride for your hair, and it's probably why everyone's going bald and, maybe having hair problems still. So you might want to try to buy more organic products. If you're putting lotions on your skin, they could have a lot of toxins in them, and every day this stuff's building up in our bodies. Whether, I use a lot of cleaners, we'll say here, not great for us either. Things like that, right? Try to eliminate, try to go organic. Your body is going to crave natural things now, whether it's your soaps, your cleaners, things like that. But it's really important. I really saw that we are exposed to like 1 million toxins a day, whether it's literally plastics, the things around us, the things in the air. So I think we can all agree this planet has kind of reached toxic overload, as we say, right? Toxic overload. And, people are getting suffocated in it from very real levels. Like people are realizing that even with all the money in the world, the American dream was never going to make you happy. And, we're kind of getting back to the spiritual basics right now. So let me see. Things that are bad for everyone's DNA and making them sick. Chemicals, pharmaceuticals are making it worse. We have toxins. Just a lot of stuff going down these family lines that people aren't facing. And they're just like, oh, my mom had cancer, I'm getting cancer. And they're just kind of accepting it as well. How we think and view reality is very important in terms of recoding ourselves as well. All right, let's talk about these junk DNA strands. All right, I think that we can debate. I like to think that we have they say there's at least 144 chakras in the world, and I'm trying to take that and learn about the earth now and relate it to the earth, because I look at the earth as our human body as well, and that it would have the exact same template. So we can kind of look at that and see there's a lot of kind of energy vortexes. We have a lot of these chakras, right? And I think we have infinite potential when it comes to activating these, we'll say, energy centers, as well as our strands of DNA. I do a lot of work with DNA. We're going to have to be on 12 strands right now to be handling this energy. I've done a lot of research as to, we'll say, this DNA mutation that's occurring, and I'll try the best I can to talk about it, but I am probably, right? I'm not a scientist. I'm not someone who really has any expertise putting this stuff out there, and it can be hard to put into words. So we're going through this process now where all of this energy is coming into the planet. It is hitting every person on this planet, and it's going to have different effects on everyone based on the quality of your health and where you're at spiritually, swear. So people that are already really sick, they already are having some kind of DNA problems. Yes, we should never be sick. And this energy hits them, and it's going to break down their DNA in a very negative way, and the DNA may not repair and mutate as we need it to. A lot of people are going to leave this human experience. They're going to continue to learn. Clearly, we're all one, and I believe that we go to different places to learn, but a lot of people are going to leave because their physical body is not in a condition to be able to handle these energies. Yes, I know. We have been we'll say neglecting our physical body in so many ways, right? Yeah, really, people are so concerned with the clothes and what they're doing and their hair and things like that, and we've been neglecting ourselves in so many ways. So a lot of people already have some kind of health issues going on, sicknesses, maybe they're just old, cracks in their body, right? Things like that. It's going to be very hard to handle these energies. Now, what is happening to, we'll use the light workers, because I put you guys all in that label. What is hopefully happening with the light workers is these energies are hitting your DNA, and it's breaking it down. A lot of people are not feeling good when we're going through these activations. I go through it heavy too, right? I go deep with this stuff. A lot of people are either having, we'll say, stomach purging, right? Stomach issues right now, this week. Stomach issues, aches, just feeling it in your bones, nausea, getting sick for real, maybe flu-like symptoms, colds, heart chakra kind of problems. We see a lot of people are having heart issues and going to the emergency room, and I love it when I see people go to the hospital because they have no idea. They tell you, we don't know. I don't know. And a lot of people are really, I see them time and time going to the hospital and they're not really getting answers, I'll just say. It's kind of humorous to me because, you know, this stuff's kind of straightforward to me. All right, so we see that hospitals are suddenly getting very busy. Yes, emergency rooms, you got to take your kids somewhere. They're probably going to get real busy. Doctor offices, yes. But they don't have the answers for these people, and they haven't for a while. I told you all that they do is prescribe, you know, sulfate-based medications that suppress these things, and they're very bad for any actual kind of illnesses. So, our DNA is mutating. Yes. Do you feel like you're becoming a superhero at some point in time? Maybe you're transcending the world that many people are still living in. Maybe you're tuning into higher frequencies. Maybe you're having visions or memories of past lives, meditations, vivid dreams, astral experiences. I could go on and on with these abilities that we're just beginning to tune into. I can talk a little bit about my experience with it. The second I woke up, I had a lot of DNA damage, and I think this is typical until anyone wakes up that we've been through it in ways we can't even grasp yet, right? We have been through it. Anytime you went to the doctor and had a problem, and, you know, we've really been brainwashed on massive levels around here. So I had a lot of damage. Hey, I did it to myself, right? Medications. And so I began my healing journey, and this stuff I really quickly got kind of thrown on my own little healing path and journey, we'll say. So I began the healing process. It took me about 2 years to repair my DNA, I tell people, and I'm very serious about that. Very intense detoxing and healing. So detoxing can really help with this process and with your DNA. Hopefully you guys are feeling a pull to not only eat more fruits and vegetables, to ditch the toxic, low vibrational things. I just say me. I'll get into another talk because we're going to have to talk about vitamins and stuff like that later. So that's another date. But foods that are really bad for you, you already know, right? You should know. Sugar, really bad. Try to switch to honey or sugar in the raw. Bad for your DNA. The table salt, try to switch to Himalayan salt. These are small changes that will make up to, you know, big results with your body. So, I know, right? So literally, these little positive changes will really help. So for me, I began this process. I like to think that I shifted to being really service to others when I woke up too, because I'm one of these lost souls too, right? Let's say we're lost souls. The wanderer, the starseed, kind of a lost soul, just kind of going with the flow and where life takes me and whatever. So, you know, then I became really like consciously aware and began to wake up. I would say what really pushed my awakening forward, like I said, was I stopped doing all pharmaceuticals, and it really helped with my third eye. I had already had a few near-death experiences at that point that had really kind of, we'll say, changed my consciousness, as well as probably my third eye, and opened me up more as a channel, but I was not ready at that point in time. We can talk a lot about people that have been opened, not through the pathway of life with love and the heart chakra, through trauma, probably have more inner work to do in terms of kind of healing and getting to where we need to be as a channel too. So I have kind of come into these fifth dimensional abilities. I use them for my healing mission. I like to say I remote view things. Whether it is, you know, the collective or people. I think that it's very important that we're being mindful of other people's privacy too with these abilities, I always say. You know, I have the abilities to manipulate energy, to send energy, to assist people in changing their timelines or moving to probabilities that they like. So these are pretty much abilities that are new to me now, but they're familiar to me because I would have had the same abilities in past lives. And I feel that when we're going through this activation process, that we're activating our ancient DNA templates that we've had for a long time. So if you are a starseed or someone that resonates with maybe having had galactic lives, you're going to probably come into some really amazing abilities that we're just getting back now. And this has to do with a lot of the karmic nature of this planet and our kind of soul path as well that has led us back to this place. So those 99% of genes that people have no idea what they are can be programmed in many different ways, right? We have literal genes that scientists are trying to figure out how to go in and turn them on and off like computer switches. And I think they're doing a better job than they've led the public to believe, because we see a lot of that happening through vaccines, that you could literally take a, we'll say, vaccine, I don't know how to say it, injection of some type, and it literally has like nano robot technology that will go in and turn on and off certain strands of DNA. So instead of, you know, using this capability for the good of all or to help people with healing, they're using it for a negative approach to create more disease and more illness. It didn't always used to be like this. If you could look back further in time where everyone's suddenly sick and going through all of these kind of, we'll say, tribulations as well. All right. I'm reading these comments. Yeah, the heart meds are recalled several times a year. I always recommend mixing modern medicine with the holistic stuff because I understand people have serious issues they go through. Yes, that every person's different, every person's experience. So, you know, you can still detox on these medications and heal. So a lot of people come to me and they tell me every excuse as to why they won't heal, right? This won't work. Unsolicited too. It's not like I go ask them, right? In my inbox, oh, and this won't work, and this won't work. And a lot of times we're projecting our programming on other people, because I assure you it would. So a lot of times, you know, we're kind of going around and reinforcing our reality. And I have to ask the deeper question, what does your world look like at this point in time? And people will say, I don't know. Well, what do your lessons look like? How's your thoughts every day? What are you thinking about? What are your stressors? What do you focus on? You know, and we have to really work at changing those things. So we got some pretty, we'll just say 3D programs that we stepped into on this planet. And we have a lot of work as these system busters in rewriting the programs here and assisting humanity as well at the same time. So, you know, there really is this huge correlation between our mind, body, and soul. We're one being. They vibrate as one. And we perceive them as different, right? So, you know, maybe your mind's a mess and suddenly your body's falling apart, right? And so there's such a direct correlation, too, with how we're viewing ourselves and perceiving ourselves as well. We live in an instant manifest world where literally whatever we're focused on, we will create. So you see the danger and fear where if people are afraid of getting cancer or have all these repressed emotions, they might get it. They literally are creating these things. But it doesn't help with our DNA and what's happening with it being manipulated as well. So we have these very elaborate systems that are designed, well, you know, if you're not going to vaccinate your kid, you're probably going to go to the dentist, right? Or you're going to probably do this. And these are very elaborate systems where everywhere we're turning, the very people that are meant to help humanity, as in the doctors and we'll say dentists and the people at the top that are meant to be helping humanity are definitely not. And, you know, a lot of people are having a very hard time this incarnation because we're also seeing, I always keep saying it, a system failure where people are starving and dying on the streets that the government is meant to be helping. These are the people that they're getting paid to help. And so we see that when they're not doing their job, that it's kind of throwing off the whole collective as well. Let me see. So, anyone ever seen the movie Geostorm? No, I had to say it. Where are we headed with these energies? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, well, we'll start there, right? So we have a lot of geomagnetic kind of energies coming in as well. We're going through a lot of energy shifts. This isn't going to be a good thing. A lot of people are feeling stressed out because they're feeling like they kind of have nothing, right? They've been going through this journey and they really have nothing at this point. No, you have yourself. We're working on you right now, too. So stay patient with wherever you are in the process, I swear. Just the fact that you're awakened, that tells me that you're ascending. And that's really, really powerful during this time. So, you know, you are here working on this too. All right, so we're going to get hit with more and more of these energies. What is happening? They're bringing out the things people aren't dealing with. Already a miserable person, they'll amplify that. Someone's already really nasty, it will probably make them nastier. The people that are, you know, feeling good are probably going to start to feel better and better. The more that you've processed your own internal garbage and let go of it, the easier time that you'll have when these storms are coming up. So, you know, this takes a lot of kind of internal processing. Yeah, we're working on the heart too. All right, things that are bad, like I said, toxic relationships, things that are good for your DNA, love. The right frequencies, any love we're giving out comes back to ourselves as well. So if you were to be around people, we'll say, I know I use strong words, but it's a good example. If you're around people you dislike or hate on a daily basis, whether it's at your office job or, you know, in your home, and you're putting out those kind of thoughts, they're coming back to your body and they're really bad for you. So you want to kind of be around a good environment. We're talking about like, you're like growing a plant, right? Growing a plant, make sure you have good soil and a good environment. And a lot of people are not. And we see a lot of, like I said, a lot of the PTSD trauma genes kind of coming out this life as well, coming through where people are just depressed or anxious for no reason. And a lot of this kind of comes back to being on that two-strand system where there's such a disconnect. I'm surprised humanity can even function on these levels. I have concern about all like the fluoride and people driving on it. Right? I have concerns about like the chemicals and is this okay for people to be driving on all of this stuff, but whatever. Good morning. Yeah, so, and with the foods, you know, it's hard to just kind of go with what's healthy, but I think we know what's bad for us in particular. You know, maybe people can handle things in moderation, and it's like, well, what are our negative qualities? A lot of people go to food as like a way to kind of tune the world out and be eating their feelings away, right? They need food, right? You know, I'm a Taurus, I know all about it, food. So I think it's just about eating healthier, being more in alignment with who we are too, and we really are what we're eating. So if we're eating GMO food all the time, that's why people are getting sick. They're not getting the core energy that we need. We're meant to have this connection with the earth as well. And so our food, like I eat, I've been eating, I say a lot of like vegetables and potatoes, but it will give you that kind of source energy that you need from the food. So we're eating food like products, especially in some countries. And then, you know, getting sick and wondering, well, you're not getting any food. That's not food. I know, right? So stay away from especially processed foods. I know, it sounds really weird. That goes for processed meats. You guys don't even want me to go there because I'll throw up with some of the stuff in some of these the fast food restaurants, meats, processed foods, things we don't really know what they're made of. And you go look at this list of kind of like ingredients, like what is that? Right? Like yellow number 5 or whatever's in there. So try to go for organic, better foods. Try to be washing your foods good too, like if you're getting produce, because sometimes there's chemicals being sprayed on them. Things like that will really help repair your body though. I think it's going to take some work because everyone on this planet was used to eating GMO food at some point usually. And to kind of rewire the body, right? And I know you see some of these, especially kids. I've dealt with a lot of kids that had really bad eating habits, and I've done a lot of work with some of these children, and it can be really hard to get them off the garbage food later. And I think that can be worse for their behavior and how they act as well. So we see there's a correlation between anger and people taking in, you know, the frequencies of food from certain meats or GMO or processed foods, where it's leading to more internal frustration or mood swings with kids. You see kids that are like, you know, all over the place, and they're eating a lot of sugar though, and kind of GMO foods and things like that. So we can see there's a very real effect between our body and our behavior as well, especially when it comes to these little kids. I like the sugar in the raw. If you're in America, you can probably go get a big bag of it. Like literally the sugar in the raw. That's what I would use there. So, you know, I'm kind of like all over the place with my own life. But, you know, you kind of had to go with what works. So try to get rid of those kind of things. I go back over the salt too. I believe that the table salt just used in America is used to make explosives. It's also an ingredient in explosives. So we need to get back to kind of more natural-based products. That can't be good for people if you want to talk about how it throws our body out of whack, putting in synthetic kind of chemicals. So a lot of our food is synthetic. All medications are synthetic as well. Bad for the body, anything synthesized. So like you could switch to, we use sea salt in the bathtub, I think in the table salt, or Himalayan salt. All really good for you. All right, yeah, the city water. We'll go there too. All right. I know I can go all over the place. It's DNA talk. I'm just like, all right, in America, they have this beautiful website that I used to go on a lot. You can put in your zip code and you can look up what's in your water. But I've seen enough cities in America to know what's going on. And everyone wonders why the cancer rates are soaring. Well, these carcinogens are in our water. So we have cancer-causing agents in our water that are apparently safe for us because the government's telling everyone what's safe, right? That's my concern. All right, so we have these chemicals in the water. Fluoride, real bad for your water, but there's other chemicals in there too. I know that they dump pharmaceuticals. We can look at cities like Atlanta and certain other cities around here where they're dumping in actual pharmaceuticals. They're blaming it for it. We can't filter out the pharmaceuticals out of the water, and this is from something else, but I assure you they're dumping stuff in the water, and that's scary to me. So make sure you guys are drinking some type of like filtered water. I liked the Brita pitcher when I lived in America, or bottled water. The best water probably is distilled water. You can go buy like the jugs at the store. I did have a distiller, but it was like a lot of work. But they say distilled water is the best for people because of how it's prepared and it gets all of the garbage out of it. We definitely need pure water, especially with this ascension. You guys are probably getting thirstier. Or, as you're awakening, you're probably needing more water. And that's because, energy really runs on water and we're made of energy. So, for sure, good water. I think they're doing that to everyone in the world, and it's all to suppress our abilities and our power in a lot of ways, because what happens when we're not in our power, we're handing it away to another in a lot of regards. Okay, let me just see what I forgot now. Right, DNA. So the food, most important. Okay, you guys probably also have a lot of microwaves in America. People aren't usually as big as those kind of things in the UK, but microwaving your food is very bad because it's changing the frequency and the compound of your food as well. I know it's a pain. You guys probably want to ditch the microwaves. I know, right? But it's really affecting your food. So you might have some real high vibe food. You throw it in the microwave and it's going to zap all the power out of it. And it's not only going to do that, it's going to affect the, we'll say, genetic blueprint of your food. When they say that your food is genetically modified, I look at it more like the food is a weapon that will genetically modify you when you eat it. And I believe that we're seeing some of the effects of all of this GMO food as we're seeing autism rates soar and other things like that, and a lot of chromosomal type of DNA kind of problems as well. A lot of that could be, not all of it, but it could be from the GMO food too, that we're not realizing the effect that it has on the body as well. So, fake food, bad for you. Make sure you're using literal filters. Make sure you're getting out of toxic cities too. Sometimes I see 5G too. We'll talk about 5G. I'll just throw that in here too. Things bad for your DNA. All right, it's interesting to me. I was on a 5G website just checking it out the other day, right? I was looking at this website and you're not even getting to 5G coverage, but there's 5G towers everywhere. What are these things doing, right? So we see a lot of these are actually being set up near military bases as well. When I looked at these maps, I did see that they kind of correlated with this other map I saw, but hey. So 5G, frequencies. Yeah, this is a war on your frequency, I swear, right? You guys should probably turn off your phone. Don't be sleeping with it near your face. Yeah, I swear, we have like Wi-Fi, 5G everywhere. Technology is not great for us either. A lot of us are on our phone a lot. Make sure you're not using your phone as an alarm clock. A lot of people set their alarm and have their phone right by them because, your phone will still be on while you're sleeping, receiving texts, receiving data, things like that. And it really will affect the frequencies around you, especially when you're sleeping. So I put my phone on airplane mode now. I know, right? I get a lot of social media stuff though. So it really could help to eliminate the technology as well. Crystals are really good for reversing the effects too. I like to put crystals around. They're really good for, helping transmute the frequencies. I love it. I'm reading these things. See, the people get special vaccines. We were just listening about how they want everyone dead of a certain age because they want you to pay in the system, but they don't want to pay you out. And so we see their own kind of problems that are surfacing with the older people too, where this stuff will fry your brain. We suddenly see dementia and Alzheimer's everywhere where people literally are forgetting who they are and where they're from. And I've seen some of this stuff too, like, up close and personal, and it's very frightening to me. These kind of, systems designed in such a way that are literally willing to set aside, human life so select people can get richer, right, and profit. But that's the reality of the world that we're kind of shifting out of and coming out of at that point. I think we all saw what a completely service of self timeline looked like at some point in time. The world as we know it, right? Where suddenly people are waking up to things are not what they seem, and we're meant to kind of activate and transcend all of that. So yeah, they have their own kind of issues going on. I'm huge on, healthcare being used to implement a lot of these things because they need our permission, unfortunately, and you go to the doctor and you sign the form and say, yes, please treat me, I'm dying, and that's how they get our permission in a lot of ways as well. I'll find the website for the water. All right, Shanghai's good. I like those little, we have some of those little pyramids. Next time I'll bring show and tell, right? Next time we'll do show and tell. All right, we have these little organite pyramids. They say organites are really good. I have a copper pyramid here too, but any shaped pyramid, even the little tiny ones, will be just as effective. They are powerful for energy and for things like that. So I really like any type of black rocks like Shanghai obsidian, things like that, for tourmaline, for like Wi-Fi. The pyramids are really good. Making your space sacred though, you know, that's what's really going to heal us. Like I said, just make it sacred. Your environment, you got somewhere you're living, perfect. Congratulations, you're blessed. Yes, look around the planet. We're going to see very real problems unfold. And a lot of people are having a very hard time because, like I said, there are some system failures that are really shutting people down, as well as this stuff we talk about. I mean, how are people supposed to have a chance at life, right? When they're being dumbed down and suppressed and their entire, you know, potential is kind of up in the air. So we have a lot we're kind of moving past. You have a space, perfect. Make it a little more sacred. Bring more sage into it. Incense, right? Ways to clear the energy in your home. A lot of times as empaths, we're picking up other people's baggage and we're bringing it home, literally. Whether it's at your job, literally on the street, maybe you see someone, feel bad for them, right? Taking on a little bit of their pain. Yeah, we do that. And so it's important that we're, you know, making sure that our body is our temple, but our spaces as well. So really make sure you guys are beginning to sage too. That will really help you too. They talk about the healing effects of sage on the body as well as your space. Things like that. It will get rid of any of those kind of negative frequencies. I love it. I'm reading the comments, but I'm going to get off here. All right, so we see a lot of these kind of things coming out of it. I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about next video in Mystery School of Awareness, DNA, but more from an extraterrestrial kind of perspective, which I hesitate to do on video. If you know me, I have a hard enough time with, you know, just focusing on like manifesting and the law of attraction with doing some of these videos, right? But I assure you that is the truth, and that, you know, our DNA is changing and mutating and evolving, and we're actually activating a lot of star lineage DNA too on this planet, kind of part of the journey. So I'll continue this chat tomorrow. I'm going to go charge my iPad so I can do another video. But really focus on the foods, detoxing, chlorella, turmeric. If your body's full of garbage, it's going to really mess up your DNA and your ability to read it too. So the more that you can purify your physical body, your energy, right, your mind and your soul, the more you're going to kind of do this ascension. So it's really important we're getting back to being pure too, as receivers, as kind of conduits of energy, things like that. I'm just trying to make sure I didn't forget anything else. I think that's about it. All right.